kind of muscles you have? No. Bro, what kind of patterns you have? Or is it just aesthetics?
Hello everybody, welcome back to Training Every Single Day. Hopefully you're ready to move and improve. I started off today with a balance I haven't done in a while. I still have some proficient skill. Let me know you think that I do a pretty good job. I think I did. It got me thinking again how I'd like to get back into hand hops and, the elbow head hops like I'm doing here. One of my favorite moves, probably second to the turtle spin. So it's important, to vary up your training. Go back and forth, try out different things. One reason is you'll never know what you will want to do in the future. As time changes, your goals change, your ambitions change. Here, handstand balance, it's getting okay with the better shoulder alignment. It's coming along. So I'm overall pretty happy with that. Today I did a pretty good new leg movement. Later, I think it's after this one. Also did some mobility. And again, the trainings have been a little bit shorter because I've been focusing a lot on eating, trying to get a lot more food in, so that takes away a little bit of time that I can train. Because I don't like doing some intense training after eating. I can do like some hanging or some squat work, but something like this is not really going to happen. Getting into some spinal movements in the squat, trying to mobilize the lower back, and a lot of rotation, trying to get some rotation in there. Rotational plane of movement is something you should train. Do not neglect it. It is, twisting, unilateral movements where you use one limb, and stabilization all work in the rotational plane of movement. And one benefit of the rotational plane of movement is it kind of inherently engages the entire body. So in order to find the balance, there's no real isolation involved that I know of. I'm still learning about movement. Been training for a long time, about 10 years. But, the more you learn, the more you can come back to some older things that you thought you knew. And you'll come back at it with some fresh eyes. And you'll really be... The goal is that, next time you come back to thinking about something, you should have learned so much that, you realize how ignorant you really were about that subject. And that always happens. I think it was like some old philosopher would say you're only smart, you're the smartest person because you know that you don't know too much. I think it was Socrates who corrupted the youth with that one. Some ballistic leg stretching, very important for developing mobility, or ballistic stretching, dynamic stretching. All those are good for developing range of motion and cold flexibility, cold mobility, which is most likely more important. But, if you always warm up before an activity or whatever you're training for specifically, maybe flexibility might be your thing. Here is the kind of new leg training concept that I really liked. This get up was not something new, but getting into the twisting and the variation really engages, rotational plane of motion, like I said, and it adds a lot of variety. It engages that new unexplored parts of my lower body, in my core, that I like to. It exposes the weak links with the rotation, allows for creativity and expression, which is really good. Still grinding out the wall squats. They're getting kind of boring, so I might try to do something else just to mix it up. Because, as soon as something gets kind of boring, that might be your cue to take a 180, to try something else, to see what else you can learn from. And you can always come back to the movement with more capabilities, more knowledge, better ideas for creativity. So, leave a like, leave a comment, subscribe, and follow my Instagram in the description. Check that out. And I get into some juggling. I talk about juggling every once in a while when I do it. Very good for developing memory, hand-eye coordination, developing the brain to focus, working your vision. This is how you work the peripheral vision in some of these easier catches and throws. And then I get into some patterned juggling. This one right here is called Mill's Mess, one of my favorite ones. I am more interested in developing the one ball or just a single throw and catch to be more complex, is one of my main goals. I do not really want to progress the multiple ball juggling just because there is a steep learning curve to increase the amount of balls or learn any more patterns. I've learned pretty much all the easy patterns, and everything else requires exponentially more time commitment. And as much as I love juggling, I'm not really want to be a juggler, if you catch my drift. And after I did this, I finished up with some splits training, working a long leg iron cross as long as I could. I'm developing some strength. It is taking, I'm still learning how to train this movement. I'm still working on pushing it. It's difficult to push it because it's kind of scary, kind of uncomfortable. But I think in the future I will be pushing it a little bit harder, trying to get lower without hands, because I often fall into the hands really quick. Like right here, I fall into the hands, even though I do have the strength to lift off like that somewhat. So I'm going to continue to work that in the future.